All right, folks, you got to learn to laugh. Rule 62, don't take yourself too damn seriously. All these different sides are fighting now over, the Jeffrey Epstein files as far as who knew what and when. But we really have to stop and look at the fact that the only U.S. president who had Jeffrey Epstein in the White House at least 17 times between 1993 and 1995 was President Bill Clinton, and that the Clintons had a tight relationship with the pedophile Jeffrey Epstein that allowed him to escape going to jail for well over a decade. The United States President Bill Clinton denied that he knew that Jeffrey Epstein had ties to the intelligence agencies and had a relationship with Putin. He denied it in his own words.
Did Jeffrey Epstein ever inform or represent to you that he was working with any intelligence service of any nation, including the United States?
No.
Did Ghislaine Maxwell ever inform or represent to you that she was working with any intelligence service of any nation, including the United States?
No.
And during your relationship, did you ever suspect Epstein or Maxwell of being affiliated with any intelligence agency?
I did not.
So let's stop and let's look at the facts. Donald Trump, whatever you think of him, he was a private citizen in the 80s when he was hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein. You got Jeff Bezos from Amazon, Bill Gates from Microsoft, all these different people that were hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein, but they were private citizens. The leader of the free world, the President of the United States, Bill Clinton, and Hillary Clinton, who have been in politics since the mid-1970s, and their daughter Chelsea, whose apartment was funded by Jeffrey Epstein, are the ones that we really have to put the onus on.
How often would your daughter have seen Miss Maxwell?
I have no idea. People I've never had a relationship with, although I know their name. Some of them are deceased. But I was not communicating about Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, as I understand what you're asking me, contacting people about them. That did not happen.
Welcome to the podcast. Bill and Hillary Clinton testified before Congress. When Bill was governor, he and Hillary put the one blue star on their state flag to represent the Confederate States of America. Let's get into this podcast.
First time a former president has been compelled to appear before Congress, and it comes after the House Oversight Committee voted to hold the Clintons in contempt of Congress in connection with their probe into the Epstein case. Former President Bill Clinton, he was featured in several photos in the Epstein files, some showing him with celebrities and another one of him in a hot tub. You see it there. Hillary says she and her husband did not know of Epstein's criminal activities.
Bill and Hillary Clinton's video depositions on their ties to Jeffrey Epstein have been released. And as expected, Hillary acted like an unhinged lunatic.
I'm going to answer your question. This was what I spent my time doing.
I mean, it's the slamming of the hands on the desk for me. This woman is crazy. She is a shouting, screaming banshee. And over 4 hours, she was questioned about hubby Bill in the hot tub, hubby Bill with unknown women, receiving massages even, and with the pedophile Epstein himself. So please watch and enjoy her just sitting there while her deadbeat husband's misdemeanors are laid out right in front of her.
Clinton was impeached on charges of perjury and obstruction of justice, which directly related to his extramarital affair with Monica Lewinsky. Is that correct?
Yes.
In your testimony before the break, you discussed why you believe President Trump should testify before our committee due to a, quote, pattern of behavior, end quote. You testified that a pattern of behavior warrants accountability. So I want to make sure I understand your standard correctly. The pattern of behavior you describe includes being held civilly liable, indictments, sexually deviant behavior, correct?
Yes,
In 1998, your husband was found civilly liable for sexual misconduct with Paula Jones and settled for $850,000. Is that correct?
yes.
By your standard of pattern of behavior, should your husband testify before this committee?
He is testifying tomorrow.
On December 19th, 1998, President Clinton was impeached on charges of perjury and obstruction of justice, which directly related to his extramarital affair with Monica Lewinsky. Is that correct?
Yes.
And your husband was impeached for perjury related to sexual behavior, correct?
I didn't understand what you said.
Your husband was impeached for perjury related to sexual behavior, his sexual behavior.
He was impeached for several reasons, and then was acquitted in the Senate.
And your husband flew on Jeffrey Epstein's plane 17 to 26 times, correct?
He made several trips with different legs on the trip, as I recall.
But he flew on Jeffrey Epstein's plane
Yes, he
17 to
did.
26 times.
What was your role with CGI at this time period, right after you left being Secretary of State?
It was, again, to, support the staff that put together both the annual meeting, but also work during the year with our partners who'd made commitments to help them fulfill their commitments. So,
And forgive my ignorance, please. What happens at those annual meetings?
the annual meetings are a way for people to come together to make commitments that they have previewed with our staff. CGI commitment, we bring together governments, local, state, national, businesses, philanthropies, NGOs.
The Clinton Foundation started shortly thereafter your husband, President Clinton, left office. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And CGI started a few years later. Is that right?
I think that's right. I think it started maybe 2005, maybe. I'm not sure.
And does CGI or the foundation more broadly perform any work in sex trafficking or human trafficking around the world?
There may be partners who make commitments about that. We have thousands and thousands of commitments. So I can't answer yes or no, but it might be an area that some of our commitment makers would be focused on.
Is there anyone that you had a conversation with about Ghislaine Maxwell?
Oh, I'm sure I've talked about Ghislaine Maxwell, and especially in preparation for this hearing.
And outside of conversations with your counsel, what did you talk about Ms. Maxwell?
I don't recall any conversations about Miss Maxwell, but I knew her casually, so I can't tell you that I never had a conversation that mentioned Ghislaine Maxwell's name, because I don't recall that.
Understood. And you say that you knew Ms. Maxwell casually. What does that mean?
Just what I said. I knew her primarily as someone who dated someone that I knew.
And who was that individual?
Ted Waite.
And who was Ted Waite?
Ted Waite was a successful, as I recall, software developer.
He is the youngest child of Norman Wendell Waite Sr. and Joan Louise Gaston Smith. He has 3 elder siblings, brother Norman W. Waite Jr., and sisters Cynthia Louise Cindy Waite and Marcia Joan Waite. The company began on Waite's father's cattle ranch in Sioux City, Iowa, moved to Sergeant Bluff, Iowa, and later to North Sioux City, South Dakota, where they continued to develop their down-home branding, complete with computer boxes printed in a black and white Holstein cow pattern.
And roughly when would the first time Ms. Maxwell would have come up in relation to Mr. Waite?
I don't recall, but, perhaps sometime around 2010, because he was invited to my daughter's wedding and she was his guest.
Have you ever spoken with Ms. Maxwell personally yourself?
I'm sure I have, yes.
Did you estimate on how many occasions?
Not many. I didn't see see her very often.
How often would your daughter have seen Miss Maxwell?
I have no idea. People I've never had a relationship with, although I know their name. Some of them are deceased. But I was not communicating about Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, as I understand what you're asking me, contacting people about them. That did not happen.
Is there anyone that you had a conversation with about Ghislaine Maxwell?
Oh, I'm sure I've talked about Ghislaine Maxwell, and especially in preparation for this hearing.
When would the last time have been that you either communicated with Miss Maxwell, even if not directly yourself, but been around Miss Maxwell?
The best of my recollection is at the wedding in 2010.
Would you consider Miss Maxwell a friend?
No,
Would you consider her a friend of President Clinton?
he'll have to answer that.
Would you consider Miss Maxwell a friend of your daughter?
She probably was friendlier with her than I was, because I didn't see her very often.
How often would your daughter have seen Miss Maxwell?
I have no idea.
Anyone else in your family have a relationship of some kind with Miss Maxwell?
Well, that's my family. You asked about Bill and Chelsea.
Just to make clear for the record, have you ever met Jeffrey Epstein?
I do not recall ever meeting Jeffrey Epstein. In preparation for this hearing, I was told that he attended an event at the White House that was put on by the White House Historical Association. But I have no recollection of that.
Did you have an initial impression of Mr. Epstein?
I have no recollection of Mr. Epstein. I'm just told that he was in a room at a dinner that we were hosting for the White House Historical Association.
What was your understanding of what Mr. Epstein did for work?
I knew nothing about it.
And Mr. Epstein died in custody after following his 2019 arrest. When would you have learned of his death?
Whenever it was reported.
Going back slightly, a question. You said you likely would have talked to someone regarding his arrest in 2019. Who would you have discussed that with?
Whoever was around. I mean, it was a big story, as you recall. It was a very big story. I don't have any specific recollections. It wasn't something that I was particularly focused on, but it was a big story.
Going back to Ms. Ghislaine Maxwell, when did you learn of her arrest in 2021?
Again, whenever it was reported as happening.
And did you discuss that with anyone?
I'm sure I did. It was another big story.
Ted, thank you so much for joining us on this really breaking news evening. What are your thoughts on Ghislaine Maxwell being found guilty of 5 of the 6 federal charges tonight?
Let me just use the word hooray. Let me just say that Ghislaine Maxwell was a pimp. We need to just call her for what she was. She was pimping these young, innocent girls for this man, Jeffrey Epstein.
So moving forward in time just a little bit, you were Secretary of State under President Obama, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And it was during his first term, 2009 to 2013?
That's correct.
And after you completed your time as Secretary of State, Did you return in any role to the Clinton Foundation?
I did. I became active in it at that point.
And by being active in it, could you describe that for us, please?
I tried to support the work that Bill and my daughter and the team had done, and look for ways to be helpful. It was something that I wanted to make sure I could support.
I want to talk about your time in the White House. I realize that you have testified, your recollection is limited, but did Mr. Epstein ever visit the White House while you were president?
Objection, asked and answered. The records reflect that he did.
That's not the question.
According to FOIA requests to the Clinton Library, Mr. Epstein visited the White House at least 17 times between 1993 and 1995. Do you have any reason to dispute those numbers?
Nope, I don't.